telling these wacky, zany adventure stories about these crazy things that would happen to us all the time. Like the time I went to the beach and stuck my foot in a bucket and had tiny little fish nibble at it. Or the time that I walked into the bathroom stall and accidentally hit the wrong button on the electronic toilet and got totally doused by the bidet. I was also wearing a white t-shirt. Or the time that I shared figs and conversation in 4 different languages, including American and Korean Sign Language, with 4 fantastic strangers on a boat. What I wasn't so good at was sharing the real life underneath the surface of those zany adventures. And I'm not here tonight to tell a zany story. I'm here to tell the other side of the story. So it's July 2007, and we'd been in Korea for 3 months. And by we, I mean myself and my boyfriend, who I had traveled there with and who I loved. We had been working 10-hour days since the very day we got there, and we were exhausted. I still hadn't learned to read or speak Korean, and was so fucking frustrated everywhere I went. I was probably on my 2nd or 3rd sinus infection, and I had like 55 of them while I was there. So I wasn't doing much of anything aside from watching way too many episodes of Doctor Who and The Prisoner. And I was definitely not exercising, so I felt lethargic and fat and would sleep until like 2 on a Saturday, which I haven't done since I was like 17. I was absolutely, completely depressed. I was totally disconnected. I missed home so much, and I was so isolated. I was 100% fucking miserable. I was totally looking forward to a vacation. We had a vacation the end of July, 1 week off. 1 week away from crazy screaming children and crazy bosses at the English language school where we taught. And I just wanted a break. I couldn't wait for a break. But I should have known then that there are no breaks in Korea. You don't get any breaks. You get more kimchi and you get more work. So we decided that we were going to go backpacking for a few days, and then we were going to go to the beach, which we thought was a good combination. We were going to go to this national park called Seoraksan, and it's up in the northeast corner of the country, and it was really like 10 or 12 hours away from where we lived. And when we got to this mountain, it was spectacular. Like, I've never seen anything like it. And, you know, we live in California, and I grew up in Arizona, and I've seen some amazing places, but this really was like nothing I'd ever seen before. There was this river, and it cut a path through these sheer rocky cliffs on either side, and the river was so clear you could drink out of it, and in fact we did, because you couldn't swim in the river, and you got in a lot of trouble if you did. And there were these waterfalls, and they plunged into these emerald pools of beautiful, beautiful green water, and there were temples and Buddhas everywhere, like nestled and hidden in these mountain peaks and in the valleys and in places that you would never imagine people would climb with no shoes. It was absolutely breathtaking. And we were on this path for about 5 hours on our 2nd day of hiking, and it became pretty clear that not only was the mountain spectacularly beautiful, it was spectacularly unforgiving. Because the path that we had been on suddenly morphed into this like boulders and rocks, and there was no more trail. It was gone, and we had to find it by following the rocks along the river, and then there were these stairs, and we had to climb endless stairs. And then sometimes there were these sheer cliffs where we would have to like scurry up the rocks using a rope. And we had like 30 or 40 pounds on our backs because we're good American backpackers, right? The Koreans didn't fucking know what we were doing because they don't do this. They go up and they go down in one day. They get up at 3 in the morning and they are done. And they've already had soju and they're at the bottom and they're like, So that day we walked for 11 hours, 6,500 feet straight up into the air pretty much. And I was exhausted. There was like a small village living in my backpack. And I almost fell off a cliff at one point, which was really exciting. And I spent most of the latter half of that 11 hours sobbing, just completely in tears, not knowing how I was ever going to get to where we needed to go. And I was scared most of the time that we weren't actually going to get there. We had to be somewhere to sleep that night because you can't camp on these mountains. And I was sure we wouldn't get there before dark. And every moment we spent not moving in that forward direction, resting, stopping for water and sitting down. I had no time for that. I was like, I can't be bothered with this. What the fuck is with the stopping? And my boyfriend? Well, he was just having the best time. He thought it was so exciting and thrilling and amazing, and he's been having this experience since the day we got to Korea. Everything was spectacular. And he wanted us to slow down and take it all in and have this beautiful experience and really be in the moment where we were. And he really just wanted me to experience what was going on because who was in a hurry anyway? And he had these bunny ears, and he brought these bunny ears with us, and he wanted to take a photo shoot with these bunny ears all over this mountain, like everywhere we went. It was the perfect photo spot. Though I did it all, stopped, I drank, thank God, he made me stop, or I would have died. And I did the photo shoot, and I did the bunny ears, but I was furious the entire time, and so much anxiety. You see, everything that had happened to me in Korea up to that point had brought me to this place of absolute tunnel vision, where all I could see was this black hole that I was in. That room that Nicole talked about, I was there. And I couldn't see how I was going to get out of it. And I was so disconnected from everything in my life. I was disconnected from friends and family, and I was so homesick, and I was so scared. And for me, connection to people and community is probably the most important thing in my life. And at that point in Korea, I had nothing. I had nobody. All I had was this person that I loved, that I was with. He was my community, and that's a lot to ask of somebody. Now, my boyfriend's life had always been about adventure and traveling and changing and riding the wave as long as you could ride that wave and then moving on and being in the moment 100% of the time. So this idea of being homesick and missing people and feeling disconnected and being just in despair because I didn't have it in Korea, none of that made sense to him. It didn't fit with his framework of the world. He just wanted us to have a good time. I wanted him to heal my inner child. So here I am on this mountain, and he wants me to slow down and take it all in and be in the moment. And what is my response? I am difficult, I am deliberately annoying, and I am so fucking stubborn. And right about now, you totally want to hang out with me. And I couldn't be bothered by my boyfriend's whimsy. I couldn't see him at all. I could only see me and what was happening to me, and I could not see him at all. We finally make it to the top of this mountain, and I am telling you, this view, I've never seen anything like it. It's like, it was majestic, it was mythical, it was a misty mountaintop, it was seas of mist with these mountains jutting out of it, and this valley below that we had climbed. I had climbed 6,500 feet in the air, and I couldn't believe that I had made it. And the feeling of finally getting to the top, after all that hardship, and all that calamity, and all that pain, it was remarkable. And I felt sure in that moment that all of that pain and all that stuff that I had taken with me to the top of the mountain, that I could just leave it there. And I could just let it go and release it out into this misty mountaintop, and everything would be great. And I'd come down with a totally new perspective. Because surely I had conquered it all right there, right? Like, I'd feel better now. I'd stop wanting my boyfriend to understand my feelings, and it would all make sense to me. I would transform all my despair into this triumphant journey, and then it would all be better. Because that's the way it's supposed to work, right? You go up, you have this epic journey, you come down, and it's all great. Yeah, it's really not that easy, and also, though I want my life to be like a Doctor Who episode, it doesn't really work out that way. So everything I had brought up with me to the top of this mountain came right back down. But now it was compounded by this vacation, which wasn't really a vacation at all, but like a survivor challenge that like pushed me to an edge that I didn't even know existed. So when I came down off that mountain, I was totally broken, absolutely broken. I was exhausted, and I was still yearning for this connection that I couldn't find anywhere. And I just wanted some kind of shared understanding with him that he knew how hard it was for me to be there. I wanted him to be in my pain. I wanted him to connect with me, and I wanted him to love me. Because if all those things happened, then it would be perfect. Right? So at this point, I'm done. I want out of the country. I am ready to go. And I will take any